Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So today I just want to kind of make some things very clear because I know that a lot of realtors are not the same and a lot of information get misconstrued, especially when you're buying or selling real estate. There's just some things that depending on who you hire, they're just not going to tell you the truth. And that's kind of why I wanted to create this video, because it's for you. And I done said it before, but I'm going to say it again on this channel, is that you have to, as a consumer, you as the buyer, you as the seller, you have to stop relying on your realtor, your loan professional, anybody that's in the industry to educate you when it comes to the real estate market. I know a lot of you do, and I have absolutely no problem with educating, but I think you owe it to yourself to do some research and, pay attention to the market yourself. And anything you do, you want to get an understanding. So I say that to say to just not rely on them, especially if you don't know their history, you don't know how much they actually know. So to rely on them to give you the best possible solution, that's just something you shouldn't do. So with that being said, let's hop right into the video. So, buyers, I'm going to start the first part of the video talking to you. So, I don't know if you guys recall, but maybe a couple years ago, it was extremely hard for you to buy a house. It was so many buyers to the one house. Like, we had such a shortage of inventory. There were buyers that were coming from out of our market, coming into our market, especially like around COVID, pre-COVID, after COVID, like that, where people that were working from home, they started flooding into our market. So they were overpaying. Basically, they were overpaying for them houses. They were paying over appraised value. It just was not enough shortage. Sellers were literally not budging with buyers. So it made it extremely hard to buy a house. And I know if you are watching the channel, of course, you probably seen that situation and you probably think we're still going through that, but we're not. Maybe about last year, maybe in August, July, August, we started to see major trends in our market. We started to see our houses started to go down. When I say in our market, I'm talking about South Florida. I'm talking about Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade County, as respectively in Florida. So just the Tri-County. So we started to see this changes. We were already seeing it in other parts of Florida, but when we started to see it was sometime like maybe July of August of last year, 2024, we started to see major changes where sellers were dropping their prices. So as a buyer, it's not about whether or not it's a good time to buy. And I think that's the biggest misconception that a lot of buyers agents are telling you, that, hey, if you don't buy now, you're not going to be able to buy. The prices are only going to go up. And that's just unfortunate. I mean, I don't think that's just not the case here, because prices are not going up. Prices are actually coming down. And if you are going to buy, you shouldn't be paying at asking value. Like, you just shouldn't. Like, if I was a buyer, I would not be giving sellers what they're asking, because 9 times out of 10, sellers are probably asking more than what they think more than what they can get. Some of these sellers have not came into terms that this is just not their market. So I would definitely do some comp. I would have my realtor, if I was the buyer, if I were you, I would have the realtor to really do comps and show you the comparables. Have them show you what other houses sold for. Have them tell you what concessions was made, because a lot of times you may see a price that is sold for, but you don't see how much cash the seller gave them back at closing. So you got to make your realtor tell you this. So I would not buy the house at what the seller is asking for. I would probably offer a lower price, anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 lower. And that's just being honest. Like, if they come back at a counter offer and you fair with it, okay. But I would not go in at asking price, and I definitely would not go in over asking price. So that's something that you as a buyer, you kind of need to, your realtor should be telling you that. Also, buyers, you have to understand that, especially if you're buying new construction, for some reason a lot of y'all don't understand that when you get in at whatever those taxes are, they are taxing you on the land. They are not taxing you on the house. So when you're buying a new construction house, especially and this is just anywhere, this is just not in South Florida. If you buying a new construction house, and when they bind that payment, they're not giving you the payment with a structure on there. So say your housing payment is $3,500 at what the taxes is now. You got to keep in mind that when that next year roll around, And you have to homestead the property because so many people don't homestead. So make sure that if you're buying a house, you homestead with the next year when it's time for you to homestead. But nonetheless, for if you do homestead and now that the new tax bill came out, you got to be aware that your mortgage payment is going to increase significantly because now you're being taxed on the structure and not just the land. So you want to keep in mind that the price is going to go up. And a lot of realtors just don't tell you that. Like they have, or even lenders, they don't tell you that, but they're supposed to tell you. So that's something you want to keep in mind, especially with buying new construction. Also, buyers. Something you want to keep in mind is I know a lot of times when you're working with the realtor, they typically refer you to their preferred lender that they like to work with, especially if you're not pre-approved or you have not started the process to buy a house. So typically you'll contact your realtor and the realtor will refer you to whatever their preferred lender. Now, this is something that realtors are not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you to shop that lender because like I said, they have a relationship with that lender. So whatever they say is gold. Now, I'm telling you as a consumer, you need to shop that realtor, that lender. And the reason why I say you need to shop the lender is because it's the difference between hundreds of dollars a month and thousands of dollars a year. No lender would ever get upset because you decide to shop them because you need to compare apples to apples. You have to get their loan estimate because that's what you do. If you do it, it's okay to apply during to multiple lenders. Don't think it's going to affect your credit because I think the way the credit bureaus look at it, you have about 21 days to shop around for a mortgage loan. So even if you're getting your credit pulled 3, 4, 5, 6 times within that time frame, it's only going to hit your credit one time. It's only going to affect your score one time because the algorithms already know that you're shopping for a mortgage and they're not going to lower your score. So just keep that in mind. So and they do that because they know loan estimates come in differently. So when you get that loan estimate, it's normally an estimated worksheet that looks like this. So when you get that loan estimated worksheet, you want to compare your cash to close. That's the number one thing. You want to look at what these lenders are telling you that you have to bring to closing. You want to compare your down payment because one lender may say you have to do 3%, some may say 5%, some may say 3.5%, whatever. Look at what type of loan they're telling you, whether it's conventional FHA. Look at any junk fees, any fees, unnecessary fees. Just look at the amount of fees that you have to pay. And then look at your mortgage payment, whatever your estimated mortgage payment is. And like I said, if you don't shop lenders, it's literally the difference between hundreds of dollars a month and thousands of dollars a year. And most realtors do not tell you that. So I'm telling you that because you're a consumer and you need to know. Another thing that you want to keep in mind as a buyer is that you need to make sure that you can afford your monthly payment. I know most realtors will try to get you to the top of your budget because the bigger house you buy, the better house you buy, the more expensive house you buy, it opens you up to more homes, and as opposed to you trying to stay within a certain time frame. But as a consumer, you got to do what's best for you. Nobody got to make that payment but you. So you need to make sure that whatever house you buy, that a payment amount and that is coming with that housing, and don't be payment shocked. What I would love for you to do as a consumer, any house that you're looking to put a offer on, have the lender that you choose to work with run the numbers. And when that lender run a number, let them tell you what the payment amount is going to be, because that way you already know what the payment amount will be. You're not going to be payment shocked all of a sudden when you put an offer on this house, all is said and done. Now you get your disclosure documents and you see that your payment is almost $400 or $500 more than what you intended to pay. So you need to have them do that upfront. It's a little more extra work. Some realtors do not like to do it, but the good ones will. So if they don't want to do it, if they don't offer it to you, it's your job to tell them that that's what you want to do. Or you just have the lender, you reach out to the lender themselves and tell them, hey, can you run the numbers? I would like to know X amount for this particular property. How much is my payment is estimated to be? So that way you're not payment shocked at the end. Sellers, now I am talking to you guys because y'all are the ones that, especially some of y'all are for some reason thinking we are still in 2020, 2021, where you can ask whatever you want to ask and the houses are going to sell. And that is just not the case. Sellers, your realtor is taking listings, getting you, telling you, selling you a dream. They're taking listings of telling you what the house can sell for, and they're using comparables that was a year ago. They're going back 6 months ago. And I can tell you, as a listing agent myself, inventory 6 months ago and a year ago are completely two different inventory as it is today. Our market 6 months ago is not our market today. So if you're using inventory from 6 months ago, they're already lying to you. So that's something you got to be mindful of. Stop looking at Zillow is estimates and realtor.com and kind of coming up with an idea of what your home is worth. Whatever it is worth, you better be ready. If you are selling, you have to price to sell. You cannot. So one of the things that I like to do, because I am a listing agent, is I like to have my sellers, I like to look at them in the market within the last 7 days. And I know some people are like, oh, what can happen in 7 days? So much can happen in 7 days. So I watch, whenever I'm selling a property, I am watching that market within the last 7 to 14 days. I'm constantly watching that house, seeing what happened, what closed, what's pending, what's active under contract. I'm constantly watching, because that's what's going to determine how our house is going to sell. So if you have a home and you're selling in South Florida and you have this ridiculous high amount, compare it to the other homes in the area, your property is not going to sell. It is literally going to sit on the market and no one is going to buy it. No one is going to give you any offers. It's going to sit for months and months until you and your realtor decide to lower the price. So why spend the hassle? Like those little make-believe games that sellers like to play, like, oh, this little cat and mouse game, like, let me put the house up to this amount and see what I can get. Let's see if I can. Buyers, we just don't have enough buyers. Just being honest, there's just not enough buyers that's qualified, that can pay with the rising cost of taxes, the rising cost of insurance, the rising cost of actually buying in Florida, getting pre-approved to be able to buy your house. So you have to take that into consideration. So if you're going to put your house on the market, it is so important to put it at a realistic amount. And I know some of you, it may take some money out of your pocket, but I'd rather take the money out your pocket up front and get your house sold than to let you sit for months and months and months. And then when you have to make the adjustments, now you got to lose even more. So that's something that a lot of realtors, they're taking these listings because they want to sell the house, but they're not realistic as to what the house can sell for. So that's something you, as a seller, you need to be realistic. Don't give your house to a realtor just because they promise you the world. Is they're promising you the world because they want the listing. But when you have someone that's a professional, someone that's good and that knows what to do, they're going to tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. So I think you should at least listen to the realtors that's willing to tell you the truth. Okay. And sellers, another thing that they're not telling you is that the prices are dropping. And the reason why they're dropping is because these sellers were unrealistic about the price. So it don't make any sense to put it on the market when you got to drop it 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, and then sometimes 50,000. It's like a slow bleed. Let's not even go through that. We price it competitively. And even some strategies that you as a seller, you can do that your realtor may not tell you is you may offer at a certain price, but then you also offer to pay the closing costs. You can, if you are convinced on selling at this amount, maybe be willing to give up $10,000, $15,000 towards a buyer's closing costs, because that is an incentive that can help buyers get into your property. So most realtors probably won't tell you that, because they try to do this hardball thing when it comes to sellers, like, oh, my seller not doing nothing. No, you as a seller, you have to do something. You have to stand out from among the rest, because at this point, all of the houses look the same. All of them are the same. They all in the same area, same price point, and the buyers are always just looking for the best deal. So be willing to do that. Sellers, I cannot stress this too much to you, but especially you need to be okay with telling your realtor, or even yourself, if you don't tell your realtor, if you have a second mortgage on your property. And let me back up and tell you why that's important. A good seller's agent will kind of go through what you should net at closing. They should go through how much, based off if you sell this house at this amount, pay commission, taxes, deeds, everything. When all is said and done, this is the amount that you should walk away with. It's called a seller net sheet. A great listing agent will give you that. If your listing agent is not giving you a seller net sheet in the beginning, I will kind of like be a little worried. So in order for that seller net sheet to be impactful and to be on point, you got to tell them if you have a second mortgage on the property. And I know some of you, just off experience, may not know. So I'm going to tell you, if you have a mortgage and you did a loan modification and you end up signing new loan documents through the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, go back, look at that paperwork and look at how much amount was deferred. You may not be making payments on it. And even you may not be making payments on it now, but that amount will come back in play when it's time to sell your house, because it only comes up when it's time to sell or refinance. So if you have to be able to tell your realtor to accurately know how many mortgages are on your property, because what I don't want to happen is when it's time to sell your house and all is said and done, and you look back and whatever the amount that you get at closing is not what you were expecting because you had a second mortgage that you was not aware of. So it's not enough to just look at your mortgage statement and get a payoff, because these are two different payoffs. Your mortgage statement is one payoff. The Secretary of Housing and Urban Development is another payoff. So these are for people that have done a loan modification previously, that they said they were putting the principal to the back of your mortgage. They're not putting it to the back of your mortgage. They're putting it in a whole separate second mortgage. So sellers, your realtor do not know to tell you that. So I'm telling you, so that way you can tell your realtor and you can have realistic expectations as far as what you should be getting at closing. And another thing, seller, you got to go back to doing work. You got to. I know back then you didn't have to really do much to the property. It just pretty much sold itself. No, you got to do some work. If you probably have to do some painting. You may have to do some straightening up. If your property is vacant, you may have to be willing to stage it so people can see or get an idea. It's not enough. These houses are not just selling themselves. Your realtor cannot just sit there and not do open houses, especially if it's one of those houses that need an open house. Some units just don't, like, there's just no open houses needed. But some of them have to. You have to make sure you're properly marketing this property to get as many eyes on it. And you got to be creative about your marketing prospecting. So you want to make sure that your realtor is highlighting your property in the best possible way to try to drive buyers. And while I got you here, you got to pay. Do not think in 2025 you are going to not pay no buyer's agent compensation. I don't care nothing about NAR settlement telling you that you have the right to not pay. I'm not taking out one listing where I'm not able to pay a buyer's agent compensation. And you should not be offering up your house for sale, because let me tell you, let me give you a little word in. These buyer's agent, they call from the beginning. Bring. Are you paying any buyer's agent compensation? If you say no, you best to believe they're not bringing their buyer to your property, because these buyers better not. They don't even have money. So why would they come out of their pocket paying a realtor when you got the house that you selling? You've been paying. So please don't think something is different. Like, oh, now that it's settlement that you don't have to pay. No, you need to pay, especially if you want your house sold. You just need to pay. If somebody's telling you not to pay or you don't have to pay and they're okay with just getting their listing side, expect for your property to sit on the market. Expect for the property to not sell, because it's non-negotiable. Just be honest. It is non-negotiable. And so with that being said, guys, that's pretty much those are just some of the main common things that I see that realtors are not upfront telling buyers and sellers. So once again, I just wanted to make sure that you as the consumer, you're informed, that you know. So if you like content like this, if this is something that you're interested in, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I am literally building my channel conversation by conversation. I don't have it all figured out. I don't know what I'm talking about next video. All I know is I'm coming to y'all and I'm telling you from my perspective as a real estate broker of 10 years, I'm giving you the tools and the strategy for you to be an informed buyer, for you to be an informed seller, because it's not enough to just depend on your realtor. It's just not enough. So with that being said, that's all I got for you guys today.